All right, last one.
The Gator Bowl, number 21 Notre Dame versus number 19 South Carolina.
Any team hotter than South Carolina? Knock off Tennessee, knock off Clemson. Coming down the stretch in their last two games, Rattler was phenomenal in both of those games. Basically 400 yards per game in both of those games. 9 total touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. And this is a program that is clearly on the rise. Everyone loved the hire of Shane Beamer. I really loved Shane when he was at Oklahoma. Obviously, there's a great pedigree there. But this is a team, he took over. They went 2-8 in the COVID year. And by the way, I think that we should probably just in hindsight, can we throw the COVID year out? Like, it was so, guys getting fired because of the COVID year. Harbaugh's on the hot seat, and then he comes out and back-to-back years wins the Big Ten. But anyways, I digress. South Carolina went 2-8 in the COVID year, and then Beamer went 7-6 last year in his first year, and now 8-4. So on the rise, and then clearly playing their best football at the end. Knocked Tennessee out of the playoff. Maybe even Clemson. The way that it all played out, you could make an argument that because of the TCU loss, because of the USC loss, that Clemson would have found themselves with a better argument than maybe Ohio State or even Alabama at the end if they were just a one-loss team. So you can make an argument that South Carolina knocked both Tennessee and Clemson out of the playoff. So we'll see. Now, their 2 top leading rushers are in the portal. Marshawn Lloyd. They've also got some tight ends in the portal. Jaheim Bell, Austin Stogner. Stogner, by the way, is going from OU to South Carolina and now back to OU. That's interesting. Their best corner, Cam Smith, he's declared for the draft and opted out. Starting defensive lineman, Zach Pickens, he's opting out. So, they've got a lot to overcome from a lineup perspective. Marcus Satterfield left for Nebraska. He was the offensive coordinator. They hired Dowell Loggins as their new OC. We'll see how that pans out. I'm not sure. And then to me, it's about whether they're going to be able to run the ball or not. Because you can say that, Rattler was great in those games down the stretch, and he was, but they also ran the ball well. And in their wins, that's what they do, is they run the ball well. And their 8 wins, they're 8-4. They average about 160 rushing yards per game, although they didn't run it great against Clemson, but that's all right. And then their run defense was not great, second worst in the SEC in both yards per game and average per carry. So we'll see how that pans out as far as the line of scrimmage. Meanwhile, Notre Dame, South Carolina against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's 8-4, and judging by the way the season started, I didn't think that they were going to get to 8-4. So in some ways, this is a positive, and in other ways, with where Brian Kelly had this program, this was a step back for Marcus Freeman. Michael Mayer, the tight end, I do think he should have won the Mackey Award. Having said that, it's tough to say Brock Bowers isn't the best tight end in the country, but Mayer is just so good. He and Isaiah Foskey, their best defensive player, they're going to be out. They've opted out. And the passing game ran completely through Michael Mayer. Part of the reason why they were able to run the ball successfully in the back half of the season was because of Michael Mayer, how they had to defend the tight end and the tight end group. Their quarterback who started most of the season, Drew Pine, he's in the transfer portal. We'll see if Tyler Buckner is healthy enough to come back and play in this game. He was the original starting quarterback, and we'll see what he's got as far as health for this bowl game. They did lose that game to Caleb Williams. That was the last time we saw them in USC, 38-27. And now they face another former Oklahoma quarterback in Spencer Sanders. This run game has been great in the second half of the season, but then it sputtered in their last couple of ball games. 66 yards against Navy, 90 yards against USC. So they're going to need to improve that. They should be able to, because of what I told you earlier. South Carolina's run defense is not very good. So that's where Notre Dame has to live. If they're going to have success in this game, they've got to be able to run the ball really well. Their special teams have been excellent. One of the best special teams in the entire country. They've blocked 7 punts this year. That leads college football. They turned them into scores in large in large respect, it's the reason they beat Clemson was their special teams. Last thing I would say is, like, this is a good chance for Marcus Freeman to prove that he can win a game with a long layoff. His first game as a head coach last year, Oklahoma State in the bowl game, they ended up losing that one. Then he has the entire offseason to get ready for Ohio State, and they lose that one. So now he's got, a long time to get ready for South Carolina. They're both 8-4, and we'll see if he can do that. But football's still about quarterback play. I think that we can all acknowledge that there's questions about quarterbacks for Notre Dame, not for South Carolina. So give me South Carolina in this game. They were playing well. They've got the sentiment, right? Like, they've got the positive momentum going for them. So I like South Carolina in this game. Even though their defense doesn't stop the run well, I don't know how efficient that offense for Notre Dame can be when they've got to figure out who their quarterback's going to be. And the main cog in the entire offense, Michael Mayer, is not out there. So that's going to be too difficult for them to overcome, at least in my estimation. South Carolina, even with their 2 running backs opting out, they've got their quarterback, and I think that they win the game and move to 9-4.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.